I'm Donna Blanchard, and this is your ThinkTech News for Wednesday, September 30th, 2015. Ashton Carter, the U.S. Secretary of Defense, confirmed this morning that Russia has begun airstrikes in Syria. He then stated that he did not believe ISIS fighters were present at the sites that were struck. While Moscow's stated purpose in Syria is to fight Islamic State militants, Russian warplanes and helicopter gunships dropped bombs in an area held by rebel groups opposed to Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, not ISIS. 2 days ago, Russian President Vladimir Putin and President Obama sat down to talk about Syria. Mr. Putin has been trying to convince the U.S. to join them and President al-Assad in fighting ISIS in Syria, but President Obama has remained adamant that U.S. forces will not support Assad. The U.S. continues to support rebel Syrian troops fighting ISIS. So, now that Russia has begun airstrikes that don't appear to be aimed at radical Islamic militants, one has to wonder what their true intentions are for Syria and their relationship with al-Assad. Meanwhile, as if in rebuke to Russia's assertion that Bashar al-Assad could be part of the solution, France has opened the first criminal inquiry into torture under President al-Assad. Based on tens of thousands of photographs of torture victims taken by a Syrian defector, France's investigation is in the early stages and will require the discovery of a French victim or the arrest of a Syrian official to move forward. The French Foreign Minister Laurent Fabius said, faced with these crimes that offend the human conscience, this bureaucracy of horror, faced with this denial of the values of humanity, it is our responsibility to act against the impunity of the killers. Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas stated today that there is no reason that Palestinians should remain faithful to the Oslo Accords as long as the Israelis were not. In his annual General Assembly speech, Mr. Abbas accused Israel of having violated the pacts which form the basis for the two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict in Palestinian territories occupied by Israel during and after the 1967 war. Mr. Abbas said, "We cannot continue to be bound by these signed agreements with Israel, and Israel must assume fully its responsibility as an occupying power." The office of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said in a statement that Mr. Abbas's speech was, quote, deceitful and encourages incitement and lawlessness in the Middle East. Mr. Abbas's speech was later punctuated by the ceremonial raising of the Palestinian flag at the United Nations for the first time. Edward Snowden, the NSA contractor who leaked classified documents revealing that our government was spying on our phone calls, opened a Twitter account yesterday. His first tweet was, "Can you hear me now?" That phrase was a long-lasting advertising campaign for Verizon a few years ago. Remember the technician hiking and crawling into remote parts of the country in cement basements, testing the reach of Verizon's service. Can you hear me now? What about now? You might also remember that those classified documents leaked. The first big surprise was proof that Verizon had been served with a secret court order compelling them to give the NSA information on all telephone calls in its systems. So Mr. Snowden has quite a sense of humor, and it's been rewarded popularity. 1 million people are already following him. Mr. Snowden is only following one Twitter account. That would be the NSA. Donna Blanchard, ThinkTech News.